Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched, first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I am your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now, let's meet our guest. I am absolutely thrilled for today's guest. He was the voice of a generation and the face of the Seattle grunge movement. Joining us today is none other than Kurt Cobain. Kurt, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Calvin. It's really great to be here and have this chance to talk. I'm happy to share some stories.
We're honored. Now, for those who may somehow not know who you are, who are you?
Well, most people know me as the lead singer and guitarist for Nirvana. I was a songwriter, a painter, and someone who just really loved the raw energy of music.
Classic. Let's go back to the very beginning. When and where were you born?
I was born on February 20th, 1967 in Aberdeen, Washington. It was a small logging town, pretty gray and rainy most of the time.
And what was your given name at birth?
Just Kurt Donald Cobain.
Is there a story behind your birth name?
Not a huge one. My parents, Wendy and Donald, just liked it. It felt solid, I guess. I did find out later that our family name used to be Cobain back in Ireland, but it got changed along the way.
Interesting. So what was your hometown like growing up?
Aberdeen was isolated. It was a blue-collar town. If you didn't work in the woods or the mills, you were a bit of an outsider. It was a lot of damp air and Douglas fir trees. It definitely influenced the mood of my music later on.
I can imagine. What was your family life like?
Early on, it was really happy. My mom was a waitress and my dad was an automotive mechanic. I had a younger sister, Kim. We were a very musical family. My uncles and aunts played in bands, but things got a lot heavier after my parents divorced when I was 7. That really shifted the dynamic for me.
That's a tough age for that. What kind of kid were you?
I was actually a really high energy, happy kid at first. I was constantly drawing and banging on things. After the divorce, I became much more withdrawn and artistic. I spent a lot of time in my bedroom with my sketchbook or my guitar.
What were your biggest fears growing up?
I think I feared being ordinary or being forced into a life that didn't feel like mine. And honestly, I had a lot of social anxiety. I was afraid of not being understood.
What did you dream of becoming as a child?
An artist, definitely. I wanted to draw or paint professionally. Music came a little later, but it was always about creating something from nothing.
What were some of your favorite activities in school?
Art class was my sanctuary. I also liked English, anything where I could use my imagination. I wasn't exactly the star athlete type, though I did try wrestling for a bit because my dad wanted me to.
Wrestling. Now that's a mental image. What was your first job?
I worked as a janitor at my old high school, believe it or not. It was pretty humbling, cleaning the hallways I used to walk as a student.
Was there a moment where you realized you were different from everyone else?
Probably when I discovered punk rock. In a town like Aberdeen, liking the Melvins or Black Flag made you a total alien. I realized I didn't care about the things the other guys cared about. Sports, hunting, fitting in. I wanted something louder and more honest.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
Getting my first guitar for my 14th birthday. My uncle gave me the choice between a bike and a guitar. I picked the guitar. If I'd picked the bike, who knows? I might still be cycling around Washington today.
That is a massive fork in the road. What was your biggest break?
Signing to DGC Records and releasing Nevermind. We thought we'd maybe sell a few thousand copies and keep touring in our van. We had no idea Smells Like Teen Spirit would explode the way it did.
What were your biggest struggles before success?
Living in my car, honestly. There were times I was essentially homeless, sleeping on friends' couches or even under a bridge in Aberdeen for a short stint. We were truly starving artists in those early Nirvana days.
Did you ever consider quitting?
Many times, especially when the technical side of the industry got in the way of the art. But the music always pulled me back. I couldn't not play.
Were there any specific daily habits or routines that you feel are essential to your success?
I wrote in my journals constantly. Lyrics, drawings, manifestos. I had to get the thoughts out of my head and onto paper. That was my way of processing the world.
What job would you have had if fame never happened?
I probably would have been a commercial artist or worked in a guitar shop, something where I could keep my hands busy.
What was your life like before fame?
It was simple, if a bit chaotic. It was about the next gig, the next rehearsal, and trying to find enough money for gas and corn dogs.
How did relationships change after success?
It got complicated. It's hard to know who is there for you and who is there for the rock star. I leaned heavily on my close friends, and of course, Courtney and our daughter Frances.
Did fame bring happiness?
It brought resources, but it also brought a lot of pressure. Happiness for me was always in the quiet moments, playing with my daughter or finishing a song that felt right.
What was the downside of becoming famous?
The loss of privacy. Suddenly, everyone had an opinion on my health, my marriage, and my lyrics. I felt like I was under a microscope 24/7.
What misconceptions did people have about you?
People thought I was always miserable or that I hated my fans. I didn't. I was just overwhelmed. I actually had a pretty goofy sense of humor that didn't always come across in interviews.
What was your darkest moment?
Dealing with chronic stomach pain. It was this physical ailment that no doctor could quite figure out for years. It made touring and performing really difficult and definitely affected my mood.
What past regrets did you carry that you spoke about?
I sometimes regretted that Nirvana became so big that the original punk message got diluted. I hated that people who used to bully kids like me were now the ones at the front of our shows.
What's something people misunderstood about your life?
That I was quote unquote lazy. I actually worked incredibly hard on the music. I was a perfectionist when it came to the sound of a record.
Tell me about a time when everything went wrong and how did you handle it?
Our first big European tour was a bit of a disaster. Vans breaking down, no sleep, illness. We just leaned into the noise. If the equipment failed, we'd just smash it and make it part of the show. We turned the frustration into energy.
Who had the biggest influence on your life?
Musically, Buzz Osborne from the Melvins. He introduced me to the music that changed my life. Personally, my daughter Frances. She gave me a perspective I'd never had before.
What were you working on in your career before you passed away?
I was thinking about moving in a more acoustic, Leadbelly inspired direction. The MTV Unplugged session gave me a taste of that, and I wanted to explore softer, more melodic sounds.
When and where did you pass away?
It was in April 1994 at my home in Seattle, Washington.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
I was a huge fan of the Andy Griffith Show, and I actually loved buying old medical charts and anatomical models. I found the human body fascinating and creepy all at once.
What's the craziest rumor ever told about you?
There were always rumors that I couldn't actually play guitar and that it was all just feedback and luck. I used to find that pretty funny.
What was your most unique habit?
I used to like to wear multiple layers of clothing, even in the summer. It felt like a protective layer, like a cocoon.
What was your favorite food?
Kraft macaroni and cheese. Cheap and easy.
What was your favorite book?
Perfume by Patrick Suskind. I read it over and over. I was obsessed with the idea of scent and how it triggers emotions.
Did you have any known rivalries?
There was some back and forth with Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses back in the day. We just had very different ideas about what rock music should be.
Tell us a story nobody talks about.
Before I was famous, I used to make these little claymation movies with a Super 8 camera. They were really weird and abstract. I'd spend hours setting up these tiny scenes in my room.
What's your funniest behind-the-scenes moment?
When we did Saturday Night Live, we decided to trash the set at the end. It wasn't planned to be that chaotic, but we just got caught up in the moment. The look on the crew's faces was priceless.
Did you ever prank someone?
Oh, we were always pulling pranks on tour. Mostly just messing with each other's luggage or making weird noises through the hotel vents. We had to keep ourselves entertained.
What was the most outlandish purchase you made?
I wasn't a big spender on flashy things, but I did buy a lot of vintage guitars. To me, those were the best investments.
What advice would you give people chasing success?
Be yourself, even if it's weird, especially if it's weird. Don't try to fit into a mold that someone else built for you. The most important thing is to stay true to your own voice.
Kurt, this has been truly incredible. Do you have any closing remarks about the interview or the stories you shared that you would like to share with the listeners before we sign off?
I just want to say thanks for listening. It's nice to be remembered for the music and the art. Life is short, so just try to be kind to each other and keep creating things. Thanks for having me, Calvin. It was a blast.
What an absolute legend. We just took a deep dive into the life of Kurt Cobain, from the rainy streets of Aberdeen to the heights of global superstardom. It's amazing to hear the man behind the music speak so candidly about his journey. Kurt, thank you again for coming on the show. And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.